Hey friends, Shawn here with Manly Made Minute, and welcome back to another episode of Okay, I'll try that. So today, my credit has to go to my good friend Sandy, who is on a design team with me, and I'll put her link to her socials below because you have to go find this card, and I'll put a link to that card. Um, she did a technique on a card that is stunning, absolutely stunning. So I reached out to her and said, hey, how'd you do that? I know it's embossing powders, but how'd you do that? So she told me how she did it, so I'm going to give it a try. I haven't tried something like this before. The only difference is she used an iridescent ink, which I know made this card amazing. I don't have any iridescent inks, but what I'm going to try this with is a white pigment ink with two embossing powders. I'm going to use both from Brutus Monroe. I'm going to use the Lava Lamp Glow, and I'm going to use the Roy G. Biv because it's so sparkly and shiny and cool, and blend these together and see if I can get kind of a similar effect than she did. She had kind of this ombre-ish, iridescent-y, shimmery kind of effect when she did this. So we're going to give this a try. Before I do that, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on my YouTube and Instagram. Would love to have you follow me and be a part of my journey, and hopefully we just have a little fun along the way. Let's go down and see if I can get this technique down. I might have to buy some iridescent ink to really make it work, but let's give this a try. All right? So here is what I have. I got black. I think she put hers on black. I just got a Brutus Monroe. I think this is the Waves or something stencil because I thought this design would look good for this technique. My white and then two embossing powders. Okay, I'm going to powder this up so that I don't get this sticking on the in between of my stencil. All right, and we're gonna ink smush through this stencil with just my white pigment ink. Okay, I'm not going to tape this down for the purpose of the video. We're just going to try to hold this and hopefully I don't slip and move it. All right, just get this good and inked up. And I just thought the white would make this pop a little bit like hers did with the iridescent, and it'll bring the color out a little bit more of my embossing powders. All right, so then what she did is she took two embossing powders and just kind of sprinkled them over. Get my fingerprints off of there. Okay, I'm going to remove that. Now that looks really good just like that, to be honest. I don't think I've ever done a white on black. This is a 2-for-1 with, okay, I'll try that. Now, she said she just took her fingers and she sprinkled it and just kept combining. So I know that I'm going to use two different ones here. What I'm going to try to do is use minimal because I know this is going to mix and I can't reuse it. I could do one at a time, but I feel like if I dump, it's going to run over stuff where I want to put this. So I'm going to have to leave this in place as I do this, right? And just sprinkle randomly. She said she just did a random sprinkle over that iridescent ink. This is actually one of my favorite embossing powders that came out from Brutus Monroe. As you can see, I went through this big, huge jar. I don't think I've ever used a big jar like this so fast, because usually these last a long time. But I used it a ton when this came out. All right, I'm going to wipe my fingers so I can dig into this one. Look at how pretty this one is even. All right, now the goal here is to get the in-between. And almost ombre-ish. Now, I could probably do a third color in here, but I'm not going to because I already couldn't decide what colors I wanted to begin with, and it took me a while to decide. And then I decided on sparkle because I wanted these just two to sparkle. I was trying to do like, since I don't have iridescent ink, maybe I can do sparkles and make this shimmer and shine. All right, I think I have everything covered. Now, I know this seems wasteful. I'm going to probably save this and try it after it mixes because there's so much shimmer in there anyway. I might be able to use this for something else. So I'm going to actually get a piece of paper that I can throw this in and dump this so I can save it later in a jar. All right, now We're just going to take and dump this out. And let's emboss that. I can see already I have a pretty decent ombre going here. And let's just see how this melts out. One thing I like about the Bruce Monroe embossing powders, like no other embossing powder, this stuff melts down so nice and smooth. Because gilded gold is probably the best out there. It's so fine on fine sentiments that you can read the smallest of sentiments with it. I am digging these two colors together even. I can tell you that right now. The way this is melting, I can see it popping on me. So you gotta bend that in the light to make sure you got all your dull spots are shiny, right? All right, new to me, maybe you guys have done this, but I love that. Look at how ombre that turned out. Now imagine iridescent ink under this, and I could use like a nice pale purple. I have a brand new pale purple. Would look good with an iridescent ink shining underneath that. I'm gonna have to get myself some iridescent inks. So there you have it. There is my tips and tricks for this Monday. Let's just see from the face. That looks really cool. I think this looks really, that actually looks very Halloween. I'm going to have to remember this come Halloween because that's very Halloween. That would look great with some Halloween little characters on top of that. That would look so dang cute. So, hey everyone, thank you so much for hanging with me on another episode of Okay, I'll try that. And until next time, I'll see you then.